Hey guys, Zen here, and year 6 for Rainbow Six Siege is taking some big risks, like seriously changing up some of the core mechanics, and it's creating somewhat of a slippery slope. In this video, I'm going over 4 things that are becoming more and more questionable as people in the community talk about it, and see, ultimately, if Ubisoft is making just one big mistake here. And so to begin, number 1 is the major nerf to Melusi. So since her release, Melusi has been through nerf after nerf, been one of the top ban defenders, and even a complete weapon swap with Oryx, and soon it could be that her Banshee becomes almost useless. Now, Melusi's Banshee is a very strong gadget, and it's because it serves 2 vital roles. It's area denial, because as an attacker, if you step in its radius, it slows you down to a crawl, and you lose the ability to sprint. It also gives out a ton of intel because of the loud sound it emits when an attacker is in its field, and on top of that, it's bulletproof, so it must be meleeed to be destroyed. As an attacker, it is incredibly frustrating to be up against, and so Ubisoft is hitting it hard. So when an attacker enters the field of a Banshee, it'll now expose a weak point on the gadget, and it'll make it so that you can actually shoot it out. It basically removes the bulletproof barrier. It's very similar to Maestro's Evil Eye. As Maestro, if you choose to open up the Evil Eye and shoot your laser at attackers, you risk the whole thing, because once it's open, the attackers can simply shoot it out. But unlike the Evil Eye, the Banshee requires you to be close to it for it to go off, and basically all of its utility comes from the need of having to be in its wake to feel its power. Once you get close enough and it goes off, literally less than a second later, you can shoot it out, and it's gone. No more intel or slow mode, and also no more need to get close enough to melee. It activates and in the process loses the bulletproof feature and can be shot out from a distance. For me, this absolutely blasts Melusi and is really going to make it difficult to recommend ever choosing this operator. The fact that you'll be able to destroy this thing with bullets means that it just won't ever really get the chance to do what it was designed to do, which is force the attackers into an uncomfortable place and tell defenders they're actively nearby. I mean, it will still be something you'll want to avoid because you don't want to give anything away, but it just doesn't really do much of anything now that each and every attacker, with explosive utility or not, can simply shoot it out. I'm really torn with this. On one side, Melusi can be a nightmare to deal with, and those Banshees definitely win rounds, but I don't see how they'll be effective at all with this huge nerf here. Now, she's also not super strong with the MP5 either, especially without longer zoom scopes, and so all she's really got going for her is the 3 speed and the C4, unless you love the Super 90, of course. Personally, I think there's gotta be another way, but this will definitely have the effect they're looking for. I don't think people will be too concerned with banning this operator and player frustration will be toned back. I just think this is a huge hit, and I wonder if Melusi will survive it or if it's ultimately a mistake. Now, second up on the list is the after-death activities. There are a lot of people who see this as a huge misstep for Siege, but you know, a bonus mistake is being that one guy who isn't earning extra money from Swagbucks and the sponsor of our video. So one of the best ways to get your hands on extra cash and gift cards is by using Swagbucks, and you can of course use them towards some R6 credits to get ready for the next big season drop. It's super easy to just watch videos, take research surveys, and even shop online to earn rewards for things we're already doing. One of my guilty pleasures is I shop a lot on Amazon. Like literally everything I buy comes from there, and by using Swagbucks, I'm able to pick up some extra Amazon gift cards, and it works like a charm. And so guys, if you click my link at the top of the description, you'll get an extra $5 bonus when you take your first survey. Think of everything you could do with a quick $5. It's simple. So guys, check it out with the link below, and thanks to Swagbucks for sponsoring our video. But yeah, after death activities, they are a super hot topic in the community because it's morphing a core mechanic of Siege. Your life in Siege is so important to the success of your team, and it's because they don't just lose a gunner when you get taken out. If you're a Thermite, for instance, well, there goes your ability to breach a wall. If it's Nomad, then roamers are able to get an easy flank off, and if you're a Doc, then nobody gets a second chance at life. One of the most important things you can do, even more so than clicking heads, is staying alive in the round. It almost always means more than trading out or getting a spawn peak, and this update kind of lessens the blow. Now, the reason for the change isn't so much to do with the importance of your life as it is to increase your engagement with the game after you die, because outside of callouts or watching a cam, there really isn't much for you to do. The only time the action is at its best is during the action phase, which if you're picked off early can mean you only got a few seconds of interacting with the game. Ubisoft is looking to change that and make it so that even after you die, you can still cruise around your drone, you can still use some of your utility, and even as Echo and Maestro, you'll be able to use the Sonic Burst feature or tase people with the Evil Eye. It's almost as if you didn't get taken out and you're still an active member of the squad, even if you're not exactly shooting things. It really is a deciding factor of the experience, and some people just don't agree with it. It could be a scenario where Echo was taken out and it's a 1v1 situation, and the defender could just choose to hide out far away from the site and basically leave it up to the dead Echo to deny plant with Yokai Sonic Burst. Like, that is a huge impact and puts a ton of pressure to destroy that utility as quickly as possible. Or it's a late game flank flank and a dead attacker is stalking the defender with a drone from spawn. There's layers to this, but I also understand the other side. Look, after death, a lot of the time it means I grab my phone, or I go grab some water, or just mentally leave the round. And I get that the intent is to stick around to provide support, but it doesn't always happen that way. The downtime in Siege can be really slow, and it can be really tough to stay engaged, and so I get why the devs would want to balance that out. There's also the fact that there is a pro league, and the attention of the viewers is essential, and this kind of change definitely speeds up the round and creates a more dynamic experience. You're never totally out of the round, which means there is always the ability to have an effect on what's going on. And this was probably what the game director was talking about when he said that a new kind of player would be born, one that flourishes with these new mechanics and isn't necessarily built on gun skill or knowledge. My opinion is really wishy-washy with this. I won't go as far as to call it a mistake, because there is definitely reason to balance out the downtime, but I would also proceed with caution, because there are so many mechanics shifted with this, and I'm not sure everyone agrees on how effective it'll be. Number 3 is the attacker repick, and to be honest with you guys, I love this. So for those that don't know, in year 6, the attackers will be able to repick their operator at any time during the prep phase, and you might ask, why is this the case? Well, as it stands now, every attacking team is ultimately put together with a calculated guess. You kind of have to guess what site the defenders will choose and how they'll set it up and build a team around that. If they're not bringing a bandit or Kaid, then you don't really need a Thatcher. If they're an anchor heavy team, then maybe Gridlock or Nomad isn't necessary. Or if they're leaving a lot of walls soft, it might be best to skip the thermite and bring a sledge. As an attacker, you never get that option. You just know that in most cases there will be a bandit, or that there will be certain operators, and you act accordingly. And defense, just by nature, always gets a more precise lineup. With attacker repick, you can get a quick brief on what's being brought and can bring the exact counters or get creative and try an all new strat. I really like this, not only because it helps the attacker versus defender debate, but it also changes the entire meta at its core and will add a little more variety. Now, there is the question of Twitch and how she'll be worked out with the repick, because part of her utility is to use her drone early on during the prep phase, and you can't really allow for that and then just switch to another op. And so the devs mentioned giving Twitch a standard drone during the prep phase so that there isn't that exploit. It's a big change, but again, if you were the ones invading a building, you would have some knowledge of what's going on inside. No tactical team on the planet just goes in blind, and so even from a real world sense, it adds up. For me, it's a great change, and I think it'll take some adapting, but once it happens, it'll change the game forever. And finally, at number 4 is no new maps for the entire year. Again. Now, I know for some, this is a big letdown, and for really good reason. Yes, there's been reworks and tweaks to existing maps, but the last new map was Outback at the start of year 4, and since then, it's been pulled from rank, and so most players aren't even playing on it anymore. The map before that was Fortress, which also isn't in the ranked map pool, and so the last new map that's actively in rotation is Villa, all the way back in year 3 season 2. I mean, we're talking Alibi and Maestro. Of course, the reworks, at least for me, have been phenomenal, pretty much across the board. My favorite is Oregon, but the rest have been really well done, and Border is also looking promising. Now, not making brand new maps from the ground up is a hard choice, because if you do, then great, there's more options. But if you don't, then other aspects of the game get more time and players ultimately get a better experience. And so I'm happy with all the updates and events that have been available, and if that means ruling out a map or a year's worth of maps, then I think it's fair. But I really feel like there has to be a new map next year, or maybe 2, because it has been a long time since we've seen one, and also really embraced it in the competitive scene. The last bit here is about casual reworks. Favela is up next, and some people just don't see the need of reworking a map only to keep it out of ranked, and I do get that. All I can say is that for a map to be ranked worthy, it also has to be Pro League worthy, and that requires very fine detail and precise development. At least with a casual rework, it can be made actually playable, where most of the time, at least for Favela, it's a cluttered and chaotic mess. I can't really say it's a mistake, even though I would like more maps to be competitive, but I'd much rather a ranked rework or a brand new map that applies to the entire player base. And so that's our video today, guys, and 4 changes here for the list. If you did enjoy it, leave a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. Hey, I'm out.